Hello, and welcome to the School Board Report. I'm your host, Lily Austin, along with board member John Landers. Thank you, Mr. Landers, for joining us today.
Yep. Thank you, Lily. Great to be back.
The board had its organizational meeting on January 10th, and there are some changes. Can you explain?
Sure. So, a school board is required to have an organizational meeting every year by January 15th. So, we do this every year. So, I think first off, we wanted to highlight that Mr. Jeff Barone, who had served on the board for 8 years and decided not to run last November, is no longer on the board, but just really thankful and appreciative of his service to the school district and the community. And one of the first things we do in the organizational meeting is that we'll swear in new members or members that won re-election. So Mr. Zetz won re-election, and then we have a new board member, Mrs. Candace Rivera, and we welcome her to the board and the team. So she's really been involved in the community for many years, from things like PTA to sports booster groups and other community groups. That level of involvement in the community, I think, is good. It helps build connections. You get to know people and families and students. And then I know she has children that have gone through the district, and her youngest daughter is a senior this year at Boardman. So those partnerships and knowing those families really brings a lot of value to the board. And then we elected a new president. Mr. Frida, John Frida, will be the president of the board this year, and Miss Davis will be vice president. And there's some common things we do in an organizational meeting, really just to kind of set the course for the year. We'll do things like approve the law firms that the school district use, and we empower or grant the superintendent powers to hire people. So you can hire people, and it doesn't have to wait to a board meeting, or allow our treasurer to pay a bill. So it's usually a pretty quick meeting, but there are just some procedural things we have to do at the start of every year.
That's great. Another change is coming. This one will affect Boardman Athletic Department. Athletic Director Marco Marinucci notified the board that he plans to resign at the end of the school year. What can you tell us about that?
Sure. I think, first off, just incredibly grateful and thankful for Marco's service to the district. I think probably about 5 or 6 years in our school district, but I know he's worked in other school districts in a variety of different roles and a long career of service in public education. So really just thankful. He let us know early, so that will allow us to start the process of a search since he will be done at the end of June. Our hope is to start this search relatively promptly on who will lead our athletic department, and in the best case scenario, hopefully by right around spring break, be able to name who the successor is, and then allow that individual to spend some time with Marco to kind of get some training and preparation, because it's a big role, and it's always a challenge one. So it's an important position to the district. We want to make sure that our next athletic director continues to build that Spartan spirit in our students and our families and communities, and be a great support to our coaches and athletes. I know our student athletes really appreciate the visibility that people like Marco have, and Mr. Zura, in terms of being at a lot of different events. I know they've traveled down to Columbus for different state competitions as well. So it's a big search, but hopefully good and positive news to come, which I'm sure we'll share here. So,
well, good luck to Mr. Marinucci, and thank you for all the time that you spent here. I heard that there were several students recognized at the board meeting for receiving awards for their artwork.
Sure. So every month we try to have some sort of recognition that highlights our students across the district, and we try to make sure that we're balancing it between the academics, the athletics, and the arts. So yesterday was really good opportunity to highlight the arts. The Northeast Ohio Scholastic Art Awards and exhibition was held at YSU on January 20th. We had 28 students recognized for their artwork. That's more than any other school in the Valley. And then we specifically recognized the 4 students who received either a gold or silver key award, and some of those received multiple keys. The artwork that was shared with us that we got to see was really great and awesome, and much more than ever I could do, with hours and hours of work. But Sarah Tackett received a gold key for her portfolio, Gina Meisel a gold key for a watercolor painting, and Lilly Lang received a gold for sculpture work. Those 3 works will also go on to the national competition in New York later this year. We really congratulate them and wish them the best of luck. So
that's a lot of talented people. Finally, the board approved the new academic calendar for the next school year. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. So just to reiterate, this is for the 2024-2025 school year. We try to set that early so that families can plan for vacations. They know when spring break is or the holiday break is, especially for parents of individuals who will be seniors, so that they know where commencement is. So little tweaks to our calendars, but the first day of school will be August 21st. We will end in May, with the last day of school being May 29th. And commencement will be on Sunday, June 1st. Because of the investments we've made, in air conditioning in our elementaries and in Center and Glenwood, we feel more comfortable starting the school year earlier, so it's not incredibly hot in those buildings. And then, as a treat to all of you at BSTN, because I know you're, in your first year, and I'm sure everyone's excited to know, winter break will be a full 2 weeks this year, with Christmas falling on a Wednesday. So I think December 23rd will be the first day of break, and then probably come back, probably would be January 6th, I think. So I'm sure he's very excited. So. Sure. Yeah, there's a couple upcoming events we want to make sure we highlight. First, on February 2nd, which is a Friday, in the Performing Arts Center, we're having Nicholas Mastramico, who's a Boardman graduate. I actually graduated with him in the year 2000, who's a aerospace engineer and I believe works at NASA, is going to come talk to the community. Ties in well with what we're doing with the solar eclipse later in the year. So we're just really excited to have a Spartan alumni back and sharing that information, and I know I'm looking forward to it as well. Also on February 7th, which is Wednesday, I believe, we'll have the incoming freshman orientation for 8th graders from Glenwood up at the high school, which is always a good event and has a lot of energy with it. And then right after that, I think it's the 8th, 9th, and 10th, our amazing drama guild will be performing their spring play, which is Clue this year. So I think we're, especially with all the amazing stuff they did with Jekyll and Hyde, we're really excited to see what they do with Clue.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for taking the time to join us today, Mr. Landers. I am Lily Austin for BSTN, and have a great day, Boardman.